surprise shone light from distant northern skies. At that point, I realized I don't know where it comes from, but I know it's okay. This is all an illusion, and I'm willing to play.
Welcome to the Quantum Guide Show, interviews with awakened masters as they share their quantum work with you. The Quantum Guide Show is produced by Karen Holton, creator of the 9 Steps to Quantum Health Transformation, a free 9-step online course to give you the tips and resources you need to thrive. Karen lost and continues to keep off 178 pounds of surplus body weight as she made her dreams come true. Whether you are awakening to the ascension process or simply want a wiser, more efficient lifestyle, this program is for you. No strings attached. The Quantum Guide Show is brought to you in part by Zendome's Orgonite, Karen's unique brand of orgone generators, ethically sourced, handmade, and double charged for maximum effect. Find out how orgone generators work and what they can do for you. Don't be fooled by imitations. Check out Karen's current selection, only available from her website, KarenHoltonHealthCoach.com, and on Facebook, facebook.com/Quantum Health Transformation. Enjoy the show.
Welcome back to the Quantum Guide Show. Today in episode 58, I am happy to introduce you to my returning guest, Ryder Lee. Ryder is a truth seeker, knowledge guardian, and spiritual educator. He uses his real-world experiences to educate and elevate others to awaken, question their reality, expand their consciousness, and raise their vibration. Check out Ryder's YouTube channel called Raised by Giants, where he interviews others from all backgrounds about their spiritual awakening. This brings people from many different perspectives who share what's going on in the world from individual and collective perspectives. His guests share insights, knowledge, wisdom, and awareness from their personal experiences. Check out his links. They will be in the description box below this video. Today, Ryder is presenting part 3 of his presentation called We Are the Chosen, We Are the Fallen. Ryder received this information in a spiritual download, and from this, he created this 3-part presentation. The link to part 2 is in the description below. Welcome, Ryder. How are you today?
Doing great, Karen. Thank you so much for having me back on. I'm really excited to share this 3rd part of my presentation, and we're doing it on 02/22/22. Whew! It's going to be great. I'm really excited to be here.
Oh, me too. And it's always a pleasure to have you on. And for those of you that don't know, Ryder Lee and myself are both part of the Forbidden Knowledge News Network. And the link to that will also be in the description below. So really excited to have you on the show. I'm wondering if we could just start off today, Ryder, with you talking a little bit about when and how did you receive this information?
Well, around 7 or 8 months ago, I received the first part of the download, which I created a presentation for that, which was called Exiting the Simulation, Returning to Source. And I didn't really know where it was going after that until a couple of months after that. And then I received the information for the second presentation and this presentation all in the same one. And the second one, I actually presented on your show. And then the third part was, I added the third part into the second part, but I decided, not to do that and then to split them up. So this one was taking a while because I already had all of the information. So I didn't really see a real need jump on it and get it done really quickly. So, but I'm glad that I did, and I'm glad that I had enough time. I already had it all written out. I just had to really get in there and switch things around and do the spell checks and all that, because I'm a horrible speller. So I had to get in there and do all that stuff, and add the photos and add everything to it. But I think that the download actually came from myself. I don't think that it came from outside of me.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I think that I was tapping into, because we all have past lives. We've all been here for thousands and thousands of years. We just don't remember who we are and what we are, and I think that I just tapped into that, and I was able to bring a lot of that information forward. And I hope people really enjoy it and they listen to it with an open mind, because just because I have this information doesn't mean that it's correct. It's just my truth. It doesn't have to be your truth. We all have different truths based on of our experiences of life.
Mm-hmm.
So anybody that's listening, just please listen with an open heart and an open mind. And if it resonates with you, then perfect. If it doesn't, then it doesn't. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to believe it. I'm just presenting it and in a way that they can try and help people, and open their minds and expand their reality. That's the big reason why I do all of this stuff. And that's the big reason why I even started my YouTube channel in the first place, and bringing people on, is just to give a different perspective of events, and, getting people to expand their mind. That's really all that this is. And I hope people really resonate with it and they enjoy it.
Mm-hmm. Now I'm just wondering, if I gave you the ability to screen share.
Yes, you did.
I did. Okay. Just checking to make sure.
Yeah, I checked it out before we got on.
Okay. Wonderful. Wonderful.
Okay.
So that sounds great. Yeah. I receive spiritual downloads too. And sometimes I know this is going to sound really weird, but sometimes I believe they come from my higher self. I think sometimes the information comes from past lives. The other thing that's really cool is sometimes it's like I am remembering the future, because, time is a construct, right? And it serves a purpose here on Earth, but it doesn't mean that it actually exists. So it's kind of like being all over the place. So I'm just really excited to hear your presentation today. So I'll just let you screen share and do your
Awesome.
presentation. Thank
Great.
you so
Yeah,
much.
you're really on the money there. I think that the past, the present, and the future is all stacked on top of each other. So we might be remembering something from the future, but at the same time, it might have already happened in the past.
Mhm.
That's what I think that my second download about, that I created is the second presentation, Attack on the Heart, Fight for Humanity. I thought that I was getting something from the future, right? But the more that I look at it, I think that it was actually from the past, and we're just remembering it. But again, it's all stacked on top of each other. Like time doesn't move in a linear fashion like we've been led to believe that it does. It's all happening simultaneously right now.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay, I'm going to hit the share screen here and we will jump right into it. And any questions that you have after, please don't hesitate to ask. Okay, so who are we? What are we doing here? Where are we from? How did we get here? These are the age-old questions that I think everyone is kind of searching for and is wanting to know. And it seems like no one really knows because we can't remember, right? We're a species of amnesia. And many people identify with their name, their birth date, where they were born, what city they live in, who their parents are and what they do for a living. But these things aren't who we are. Those are just labels and titles given to us at birth. Those things are an illusionary identity that's been given to us by our parents, by society, that we've become so attached to and constantly try and prop up that a lot of us can't even begin to try and understand who and what we truly are. So welcome to the third installment of my three-part presentation. We are the chosen, we are the fallen. Presentation by Ryder. So the first question is, how and why are we a species of amnesia? Because if we could remember our past, then we would know who and what we are, and we wouldn't repeat the same mistakes over and over again. We have been here for thousands of years, as I stated this in my first presentation and in my second presentation. We just have amnesia and we don't remember. There's something that's keeping us from remembering, erasing our memories, keeping us from not only remembering our past as a species, but who and what we are. So to get a better idea of what's going on, we have to take a look at history. We know that history has been nothing but lies, because academia can't even begin to perceive what happened with their limited perspectives. They got a lot wrong from the very start and never bothered going back and trying to fix it, because that would involve a level of admission. And we know that they are never going to take responsibility. So I'm going to be sharing my perspective of events, and that's not saying that this is fact. It's just my perception based off what I know and the information I have. So to begin, I want you to really keep in mind this Bible verse right here, which is from Isaiah 45:7. I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, the Lord, do all these things. Just keep that in the back of your mind as I go through this presentation. So back thousands of years ago, a group of beings called Syrians came to the planet to create a worker class. Not for that sole intent, though. They actually came for a different reason, which was for raw materials such as copper, hydrogen, and other minerals. Copper, not gold, like Zachariah Sitchin explained in his books, because copper is a very important material for some very advanced species. Copper, when mixed together with other materials, can produce new stable elements. If you induce a high enough electromagnetic field at the right angle with a high nuclear radiation, it produces a overcrossing of the fields. And the fusion with copper with other elements can then produce a force field of a certain nature, which can be used as a cloaking device or a weapons device. But they didn't want to bear the heavy labor of mining for raw materials and minerals, but they saw a group of dumbed down humanoid species on the planet, which they could be used to do their work for them. They started messing with their genetics and DNA to support growth at an accelerated rate. Some of the humanoids responded well to this and others not so much. This created a fracturing in the DNA into two different groups, one called the ENK DNA and the other called the ENL DNA. One group was very in touch interdimensionally and could communicate with other beings in other star systems, densities, planets. These beings would be the ones that high vibrational entities could incarnate into, because the physical body would be able to handle it without spontaneously combusting. This is what the Sumerian tablets were talking about when they said kingship being lowered from heaven, like mentioned in the Enuma Elish and Sumerian Kings list. It wasn't a physical being coming down from the sky to rule, but it was a physical incarnation of a very high vibrational being from a different planet or density. Now, the other group, not so much. They didn't possess any of these qualities organically. And instead of trying to figure it out and work on themselves, they started worshiping the ones that could. They could have been just as powerful as the other group. They just had to work harder at it. The lower level beings that were created decided to revolt and rebel against the higher level beings. And I have no idea if it was the ENK group that was the lower level or the ENL group, but it doesn't really matter. This resulted in war and death and many rises and falls of civilizations throughout time. I really hope that this is starting to make more sense now. That Inky and Enlil are two different sets of DNAs. Right? They're not individual beings like we've been led to believe, but also that we aren't at war with any outside group or beings from other planets. We are at war with ourselves from the very start by design. Now, this doesn't mean that there isn't any manipulation going on, because that's apparent. But it's a test to see if we will go in the direction we've always gone in, and that direction being self-destruction. That's on a personal and collective level. There are neither malevolent or benevolent forces. They're all neutral. They've just been taking advantage of us here on this planet. Now back to what happened after the revolting of the species of the lower class that the Syrians created. When they got that under control, another more hostile group came looking for raw materials. A war broke out, fighting ensued. The hostile group of beings decided to create a fusion bomb that would kill all of the beings on the planet, but not harm the raw materials and minerals. So they detonated the bomb in the upper atmosphere, and it landed in the Pacific Ocean, close to where America is today, and nearly wiped out every living organism on the planet. And the beings that it didn't kill died over time because of the nuclear winter. Some did survive, though, by going underground. This is the event that academia says killed the dinosaurs by an asteroid, but it wasn't an asteroid. It was a nuclear fusion bomb. Few Syrians survived and evolved over thousands of years into what we call reptilians, Earth-based reptilians, that is. And it sent the humanoid species that the Syrians engineered back to before the Stone Ages. That hostile group of beings left the planet, never to return, probably due to the nuclear winter and the high amounts of radiation that was in the atmosphere. Now we get to the next group of beings that had a hand in our creation and manipulation of our genetics. These group of beings are called the Elohim. They too were interested in raw materials and hydrogen, but more so in our DNA, and wanted to accelerate the primitive humanoid beings that survived the nuclear explosion on the planet, to develop a slave race of beings to fight in wars and coming wars. They had very white skin and were not acclimated to our sun at all. They had to wear what looked like astronaut suits to block the sun from their eyes. It wasn't the Anunnaki. The Anunnaki is a complete fabrication. It was really the Elohim, which the Elohim are the Nordic race of ETs. which is depicted here in ancient stonework in Egypt, Mexico, and Peru, and also in ancient cave drawings from First Nations people. It always tripped me out how they could be seeing people in astronaut suits from way back in the day, but these were ETs that were not acclimated to our sun and had to protect their skin and eyes. So the Elohim have created several versions of humans on the planet. We are currently the 7th breed or generation of humans that were here throughout time. When we get to a certain level of consciousness, they tend to come and rinse and repeat the cycle. They are responsible for coding the planet in this matrix system that we're in now, which takes time and patience to break out of because our souls have been fractured and split everywhere. Finding the puzzle pieces are very time consuming, and that's if you can find all the puzzle pieces. Planet Earth has been set up as an experiment, a test, a program. What will happen if these people come together? What if this situation happens? How will you act if this person does this thing or that thing, and so on? Which gets us to our next topic. What is a fallen angel? Well, the standard definition of a fallen angel is an angel who rebelled against God and was cast out of heaven. The Elohim, when they created us back in our first generation, they left a group of lower level Elohim beings called watchers behind to keep an eye on the experiments here on Earth, while they went on to other planets in the galaxy to do the exact same thing and set up shop somewhere else, thinking that the watchers would take care of us. Now, people that are familiar with the story know that they didn't. These watchers started tampering with us on a soul, spirit, and consciousness level, conducting horrific science experiments. The giants, chimeras, mermaids, Bigfoot, animal-human hybrids, all of it, any mythological creature that we know about from our ancient history were real and were science experiments to these beings. They also turned women into whores, giving children weapons, mating with the women of Earth, as described in the book of Enoch, and planting us with AI. And when the Elohim came back to check up on things here, they were not pleased, to say the least. And not long after, the lower level of these beings rebelled and were ultimately defeated by the Elohim. There you go. There's another rebellion. We seem to be rebelling all the time. And they placed a trap over the planet, a planet, if you will, so that we/them couldn't escape. They saw us as unfit, unruly, easily influenced, with the promises that they'd be let go if they did a good job with the experiments here on Earth. But a lot of them got caught up in this planet and got their soul fractured out many times by the false light trap. They became a product of their own making, confined to human bodies they created themselves. With the planet placed, they would lose more and more of their soul, splitting them off into separate bodies, inhabiting the avatars they helped to create. The Elohim thought that this would be a good form of rehabilitation, but just like how human prisons mostly don't work as a means for rehabilitation on the planet now, the prison planet concept didn't work either, because the majority of them doubled down and turned the planet into a fortress. Now, there are a select few that have seen the error in their ways and are wanting to regain their status and rejoin others, but they are stuck here as well. The Watchers are the fallen that have inhabited human bodies as a form of punishment, unable to escape for their misdeeds, and as a form of rehabilitation and being recycled through the planet thousands and thousands of times, fracturing out their soul so that they could never rise up and realize who they truly are. Again, the Elohim thought that this would be a good idea, but little did they know the planet would fracture their souls, splitting them off into multiple beings and incarnations simultaneously, mixing us with them, turning us into the fallen. And that's exactly what we are. We are the fallen. We are the fallen angels, all of us. We are the ones that rebelled against God, the Elohim, and as punishment, we are stuck here on this planet serving out our sins. Though some of us, again, have seen the error in our ways and are willing to take responsibility and want to reclaim our divine right. Now, the question then becomes, how do we do that? Which gets us to our next topic, initiation and past lives. What is initiation? What does it mean to be initiated? How important is past lives in this equation? Now, initiation isn't some ritual or something that gets you into a private club or group. The initiation process is you remembering. It's you remembering your past lives, who you are, and what you're here to do, with the ability to integrate them. Initiation is the process and the key to escaping this reality, free of any barriers and limitations. We are not whole, Karen, and in order to leave, we have to regain all the parts of our soul that's been fractured out to become one again and remember. No one's leaving this planet not being complete. Now, not a lot of people can handle it because we've been dumbed down. Our brains aren't working properly. It's working at a very low capacity to keep us from remembering, because the dark side doesn't want us to escape. They want us stuck here in a never-ending loop. So they do everything they can to make sure we don't remember, with distractions, materialism, constantly looking outside of ourselves for solutions to our problems, and never taking responsibility. The food we eat, the water we drink, the air we breathe is suppressing our consciousness and has been poisoned to cut us off from our innate abilities, to limit our divine spark. Now, some of us can break free, though, and are incorruptible. These people are known as the chosen ones. Now, before people get in an uproar about being chosen, it isn't a title of superiority, making anyone better than anyone else. Being chosen just means you have been initiated into a higher realm of knowledge, gaining different perspectives, meaning you are here to teach, guide, and most of all, help yourself for the betterment of everyone. Being able to access and integrate our past lives to regain all the parts of our soul and consciousness that's been fractured, realizing the mistakes of our past and healing them to integrate the divine spark within each and every one of us. We are all chosen. But not everyone's here to do the same thing. Everyone's different. That's what makes us special. There is no blanketed system. If there were, the planet would be a very boring place. Some are here just for the experience. Some are here to do nothing of importance. Some have done so much work in the past that they're just here to chill and take a break, Netflix and chill all day. So don't judge anyone on their journey. It's their journey, and they're responsible for the development of their own soul. Some have the divine spark and some don't, and that's okay. Which gets us to our next topic, the divine spark. What is the divine spark? The divine spark is very important because it connects us directly to source, enables us to travel interdimensionally, have psychic abilities, clairvoyance, clairaudience, telepathy, channeling, spiritual downloads, remote viewing, remote healing, out-of-body experiences all require the divine spark. There's a divine spark in virtually everything, in animals, in nature. It's all around us. But the problem is there's been a concerted effort to rid us and everything around us of this divine spark. The manipulators of our reality want to invert everything to an inorganic system. It's apparent. Look around you. We destroy nature. We harm each other. We fight endless wars. We dump chemical waste into the oceans and rivers. We spray things in the air. We don't use water from natural aquifers or wells anymore. We speak to each other through technology, food polluted with GMOs and pesticides. We work in a box, we watch a box, we live our whole entire lives in a box, literally and metaphorically. Our whole entire life, our whole reality has become inorganic. This was and is the plan of the dark side, is to invert everyone and everything into the inorganic for ultimate control. It's how things are controlled. It's created and then it's owned, which begs the question, if I were to create everything you own, Karen, then who owns you? If you didn't build your house, do you really own it? If you didn't build your car, do you really own it? If you didn't build the things you own, is it really yours? Or is it from a corporation? Does the corporation own it? This is very important questions. How do we own anything? How do we own land? Do you own your body? Do you own your own thoughts? Or is someone else doing your thinking for you? The only way to own something is to create it. You can't create land. You can't create your own body. So from the very jump, we are introduced into a slave system and owned by a corporation. And it can all be taken away by the snap of a finger. Now, the only thing that can't be owned is our divine spark, because it comes directly from the source. And that divine spark enables us to circumvent the system, unlock our divine right, bring in and integrate all parts of our soul from past lives to be whole again. As I stated in the first presentation, exiting the simulation and returning to source, the planet trap has been disabled for a period of time while shifting into this new age. It gives us an opportunity to escape and new souls to come in our place. The way that we do this is a consciousness transfer of sorts with our past lives and current lives that I spoke about in my second presentation, Attack on the Heart, Fight for Humanity. Please go check out those other presentations. We bring in as much of them as we can, completing more and more of our soul in the process and becoming one again. Not just remembering them, but integrating them to unlock our 12-strand DNA. Our DNA is activated through specific frequencies. The divine spark can never be eliminated, but it can be shut off through a myriad of ways that I've described. The earth is a special place in terms that we have many races of beings on it. Other planets only have one race, or possibly in rare cases, 2 or 3. This enables them to work together and come together more easily. We are a melting pot planet, and none of us are from here. And that should be very apparent by how mixed matched we are. This is a part of a program that we've set up here to see if we're going to put our differences aside and come together without intervention, because no good force is going to intervene unless we collectively ask them to, other than to stop us from nuclear war, which is also described in my second presentation. Any other high dimensional being that intervenes without our permission, whether it's perceived good or bad, should be questioned about their motives and agenda. This gets us to our last and final topic. Now, I covered the reason for the lockdowns in my first presentation, was to get our consent to stay on the planet, though the planet trap has been lifted. The testing in the second presentation to get our DNA for an on-world, off-world database, because our timeline is being abandoned and we are being left to our own devices. You already know what this one's going to be, and I'm going to use a word which is not going to get flagged or banned or anything, which the word is potion. So just so we're all on the same page and everyone knows what I'm talking about, and I'm pretty sure everyone knows exactly what I'm talking about. So the potions are being used to rid us of our divine spark connection fully, and fully locking us into this 3D reality, turning us into inorganic beings among a bunch of other things. And I'm just talking about the spiritual implications here, not the physical ones. Just in case some of us happen to survive the coming cataclysms, natural disasters, food shortages, wars, and collapse of our entire civilization, we can be fully controlled and we won't have any connection to source for when the next new age rolls around in 2,000 years, 5,000 years, 10,000 years, however long the people say it takes for a new age to roll around. And the planet trap is lifted again. It'll make it practically impossible to escape because we would have lost our connection and be fully engulfed into this program. Each cycle, they get a little better at control and manipulation, making us lose more parts of ourselves until we have absolutely no connection at all. This has been the goal from the start, to rid man of his divine spark connection back to source, creating a slave race of humans that can be recycled back through again and again without their knowledge. Because without any spiritual connection, you will fall for anything here in this reality, and you will fall for anything on the other side. And they are counting on it. We are special, Karen. We are divine. We possess everything we need within us. The storm is upon us. The collapse is coming. It's starting now. Be prepared. Listen with intent. Respond, not react. How we get through these times is completely up to us. How we handle the future dictates everything. Help each other. Do everything you can to solidify a positive outcome, not only for yourself, but for everyone else too. Ignite your divine spark and light the flame of your soul. The end.
Oh, that was awesome. That was really, really important information. And what's interesting is I've been listening to a lot of documentaries about what's going on today, some of the things you mentioned in your presentation, and when that really got ramped up. So I guess it was around the mid 1860s. Let's just call them the powers that be. They decided to use psychology to regulate our beliefs and our behaviors and things like that. So I wanted to ask you, in view of the presentation you've just given us, these people, I don't know if you want to call them Mr. Global or whatever, there's some debate as to what their nationality of origin is. I don't want to necessarily get into that. But are they part of the Watcher class, or are they what part are they, because they've kept their bloodlines fairly inbred, I guess, for lack of a better word. But what part of your presentation do you think is referring to those people?
Well, I think the people that are in control of our reality is getting information from outside sources, right? And those outside sources, like I stated in the presentation, are neutral beings. right? They're not malevolent or benevolent.
Mm-hmm.
They're just, I guess you could say that they're more self-serving, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they are giving the orders to the human 3D aspect of this. But the real people that are controlling our reality are very human. They're human, and they leave a paper trail. They've just been manipulated like we're being manipulated by an outside source, by something outside of themselves. Right? People want to mystify the controllers and manipulators of our reality, but it's not like that. They're not boogeymen. Right? They're very human. They're like me and you, Karen. They're physical. They're the ones that are responsible for all this. It's not the archons, it's not the reptilians, it's not any of these beings. They're very, very human. They're 3D, they are human, and they are in control now. Who and what they are, I honestly have no idea. I think that they are just, they're full of greed, they're full of power, and they have manipulated this system. We should be so much farther advanced right now, Karen, but they shut it down every single time because of greed, power, and control. They did that to Tesla. They wrecked and destroyed all of his stuff. He had free internet. He had all this crazy amount of technology. But what good is it going to do if, I'm saying this from the perception of their eyes, right? Not from my eyes. I want free energy. I want all this, the things that are going to help people become better and evolve us spiritually, physically, and help our reality, right? But from their perspective, they're so caught in these old ways, so they shut it down every single time it comes up. Right, because they can't make any money off of free energy. They can't make any money off of, healing technology. Because they want everyone down. They want to bring everyone down, right, while they're on top. It's a very human control structure. Is what I think is happening.
Oh, I would agree with you 100%. And a lot of people have we've been so brainwashed for so many generations now that we've lost the focus. We've lost realizing, what we're capable of. Now, we're quickly running out of time, but I want to speak a little bit to the potion you talked about. I truly believe that it is shutting down people's ability to be their full spiritual selves, or what you call the divine spark. And in fact, I've even seen evidence of that. And I've even seen some documentaries about that this was part of the plan. And so what I'm understanding that you're saying is that to rob us of our spirituality puts us very embedded into this three-dimensional reality with fractured souls, so that we can't, for lack of a better word, put ourselves back together again, so that we can evolve and thrive and reach out to our true destiny. And and that's that's kind of the height of evil as I see it. And yet people are falling for it left, right, and center. It's a really scary thing. I've been working on material trying to unite the two types of human beings that we have for the first time on Earth right now, to help each other, because there are things that those that haven't taken the potion can do on behalf of those who have. And I think also it's a time to protect those who haven't taken the potion. But how do you feel about that, Ryder?
Well, first off, thank you, Karen, for mentioning that. You're the first person so far that has that's kind of commented on that and put that together. So I really appreciate you doing that. And I knew that you would get it 100% because you've been talking about it a lot on your show. So thank you. I appreciate that. But that's exactly what they're doing, and unfortunately, a lot of people have fallen for it. And I really don't think that there's anything that we can do about that. Now we can show them love. We can show them respect. They probably did not have all of the information whenever they got it, whenever they took the potion. So we can't blame them. The thing that we can do, though, is show them love and show them gratitude. I believe anything can be reversed, right? And you can this division thing that they're playing with this is unbelievable, right? They want people fighting each other, and that's another really big technique that they've used for decades, and everyone knows that, everyone sees it, but it seems like no one ever does anything about it. Like if I were to walk out onto the street right now and talk to somebody about this topic, they would be like, yeah, they are, bro. It is about division. They want us divided surrounding any topic. But still, it seems like they don't care, right? Because it's been normalized to such a degree in their consciousness that, yeah, they can recognize that that's what they're doing and that's the agenda. But no one ever seems to stand up and do anything about it. Right? They just want to talk about it.
It's been kind of frustrating from my part, because one of the jobs Spirit has given to me is to educate people on the many, many ways that we're being toxified and poisoned. And I was really happy you brought that out into your presentation. Our water's poison, our air's poison, but the food, what's been done to our food supply is horrendous and horrendously destructive. And, I try to tell people about the difference between food-like substances and real food and what that can do for you. And people go, oh, yep, sounds interesting, Karen. Oh, I got to go. I'm taking my kids to McDonald's. It just blows me away, the amount of disconnect. Now, please don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I'm a perfect eater, a perfect person or anything like that, but I do the best I can. And for me, it's about protecting what I believe is our God-given, or however you want to look at it, but our God-given technology, which is found in things like our pineal gland. We need to keep that healthy. We need to keep our bodies healthy. And I also believe our body is the temple. That is the temple, because that's where the energies are mediated. That's where the soul fragments can be pulled back together again. So, but I think that we need to keep putting out this information. And little by little, I think that people are waking up and they're turning to alternative news sources and information and educational sources. And then I hope that it's actually doing people some good. I think it is. I have to believe it is.
They want everything to, like I stated, in an inorganic system. So people forget what the organic real food even is. They want to change the color of the food. They want to change the taste of the food. If someone were to drink real milk from a cow and not the nonsense that they buy from the grocery store, they would spit it out. They don't even know what real milk tastes like. Like I go down the street and I get real avocados that are like, and oranges and lemons and like all kinds of stuff from this fruit stand right down from my house. And I am shocked by how different it tastes, because it's real and it's organic and it's grown right there on the tree in the person's backyard. It tastes completely different than something that you buy from the store. And
everything
the
from
collars,
the store.
they want to change the collar too. They don't want to know what a real apple looks like. They don't want to know they don't want you to know what a real apple even tastes like. They don't want you to know what a pear tastes like. They don't want you to know the true color of what any of these things taste like, because if they can control that, then they've basically controlled your body.
Yep. And
Go
the
ahead,
other
sorry.
thing, about real food is if you take a handful of almonds and they're naturally grown without chemicals or anything, and each almond tastes different. You
Yeah.
take 2 or 3 apples, they taste a little different. You get all these subtleties of experience that's being washed out of our reality. So you go into a supermarket, you just look at the apples, they all look the same. The pears, they all look the same. No, that's not real food. Real food has a huge amount of diversity and flavor and in the way it smells, and it all has neat stuff that it does to our bodies. But Ryder, I'm so sorry, but we're quickly running out of time. I was wondering if you could just give us, what is your hope for the viewers to take away from this presentation? What is your hope?
That people realize that we are not only broken as a individual, but we're broken as a collective. And that I hope that people don't take any of this as a fear-based narrative. None of that was meant to be fear-based. It was meant to give you the awareness of what you need to do, right, and how you need to go about your life. Like, I don't talk about these kinds of things to strike fear within anyone. I talk about them so that we can do something about it, right? Do something about it. Come together. Love your friends, love your family, Like, we have to be doing something actively. Now, whether that's a small thing, like helping someone,
Mm-hmm.
you're still making a difference.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't need to be a huge, grandiose thing, right? Start small, build it up. A Lego set doesn't come put together. You have to build that thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes time and it takes effort, but don't give up. Keep going, keep pushing forward. People want to tend to give up whenever the going gets tough because they get overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm telling you not to give up.
Mm-hmm.
Keep going, push through all the bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
And live up to your own integrity, and take responsibility for your life.
Mm-hmm.
If you've wronged someone, then take responsibility for that. If you did something wrong in a situation or a problem occurs, take responsibility for it. Responsibility is one of the main keys of self-mastery.
Mm-hmm.
We have to master ourselves and master our thinking and our thought process, because that's what gets us in trouble the most, is our own thinking revolving any situation, any person. Just be you. Be the real you, and don't apologize for being you. You can never be sorry for being yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I really hope people take away from it, and that we do something about it. It's not we've been here for a really, really long time, and we have to tap in to ourselves. And I realize that people, they don't really have the time to do that, but you can be doing that while you're doing other things. Like how many times do we go sit down on the toilet a day? Like how many,
Mm-hmm.
like everyone probably showers at least once a day, if not every other day, right? Like, tap in when you're doing that. Water is a wonderful conductor.
Mm-hmm.
When you're washing the dishes, when you're cooking food,
Mm-hmm.
just clear your mind.
They're all opportunities, aren't they?
Yeah.
Ryder, we're running out of time. I want to thank you so much for joining me on the Quantum Guide Show. Can you just maybe just take a minute and just tell people where they can find you?
Yes, you can find me on YouTube at Raised by Giants. You can also find me on any and all podcast platforms and on the Forbidden Knowledge News Network. And you can follow me on Raised by Giants Pod on Instagram if you have Instagram. And you can also like Raised by Giants on Facebook. And I just want to thank you so much, Karen. That was a lovely conversation, and I appreciate you a lot, and I love you, and I hope everyone is well out there, and take care of your business, handle your side of the street, because when your side of the street is clean, doesn't matter what anybody else is doing, everything can be on fire around you, and it won't even matter. Thank you so much, Karen.
Oh, thank you so much, Ryder. I love you too. And I love your show. And I really encourage people to check out your shows and the other presentations that you've done. And oh, it's just amazing, amazing work. Just thank you so much. And so with that, we'll say goodbye. And I hope all your viewers are having a wonderful week. And we'll see you again next week on the Quantum Guide Show. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us for the Quantum Guide Show. Become the change you wish to see in the world. Subscribe to Karen's YouTube channel, click the like button, and share this show with your friends. Check out Karen's website at KarenHoltonHealthCoach.com. All the links are available in the description box below. Until the next time, keep up the good work.
Endlessness puts all my inner strife to rest, for time gives birth to hurriedness. It all makes sense, well, more or less, and the sages put me to their test. With heart and soul I do my best to find the answers to my quest. I wonder and I